The sound of frustration echoed down the marble-floored hallway of turekind Technologies, a sleek Silicon Valley startup redefining robotics for the world. But inside the glass-walled conference room at the end of that hallway, tension was boiling. A whiteboard covered in diagrams, complex algorithms, and half-erased calculations bore witness to a simple yet crippling problem. 15 of the brightest engineers, some poached from MIT and others veterans from NASA, had spent the last 3 days trying to fix the core logic bug in turekind's new adaptive drone AI. It was supposed to launch next week, a revolutionary product years ahead of anything else in the market. But the drone kept spiraling out of control during test flights, and no one could figure out why. Ethan Kross, the 38-year-old founder and CEO, stood quietly in the corner of the room, arms folded, a tired look in his eyes. Tall, impeccably dressed, and famously brilliant, Ethan was once hailed by Forbes as the widowed prodigy, a single father raising a daughter after losing his wife to cancer 4 years ago. But today, genius wasn't enough. The code wasn't working and time was running out. What are we missing? Ethan muttered, staring at the screen that now displayed yet another simulation crash. Sir, one of the engineers said hesitantly, we've rewritten the logic tree 3 times. The sensors read the right data, but the drone interprets it like it's flying backward. It doesn't make sense. Ethan exhaled sharply and pinched the bridge of his nose. Everyone take a break, he finally said. Just 10 minutes. The team shuffled out, some grabbing coffee, others sinking into chairs with blank stares. Ethan checked his phone. A photo of his 7-year-old daughter, Ivy, greeted him, smiling brightly on her first day of 2nd grade. Below it, a text message. Mila, Ivy's napping. Just made her soup. How's the day going? Ethan typed back. Ethan? Disaster. 15 engineers. No solution. He stared at the screen a moment longer, then sighed and headed toward the small family lounge near his office. It was a quiet space Ethan had built so he could still be a dad in the rare moments between chaos. To his surprise, Mila, their nanny, was there already, having brought Ivy in from school early due to a minor cold. Ivy slept curled up on the couch with her unicorn blanket, her little chest rising and falling gently. Mila, a 27-year-old recent community college graduate in early childhood education, looked up and smiled. You look like you lost a boxing match with a computer, she said, her voice warm. I might have, Ethan replied, slumping into a chair across from her. The AI is a disaster. 15 top engineers, and no one can figure out why the drone thinks it's flying backwards. Mila tilted her head. Backwards? He nodded. We programmed it to process forward motion based on sensor input, position, direction, gravity, but in live simulations it's behaving in reverse. Every correction makes it worse. Mila blinked. Wait, are the sensors in the front or the back? Ethan furrowed his brow. The back. We shifted them to allow for a frontal payload compartment. She nodded slowly. So what if it's just interpreting the sensor data from the wrong frame of reference? Like, what if it thinks the back is the front? Ethan's mouth opened, but no sound came out. That would explain everything, he said suddenly, eyes widening. The pitch inversion, the orientation confusion. He leapt up, fumbled for his phone, and burst into the hallway. Derek, rewrite the axis mapping assuming a rear-facing forward vector. Now. 10 minutes later, the simulation ran clean. The drone flew straight. No crash. No spiraling. No error messages. Just perfect, fluid, adaptive motion. The engineers stared in disbelief. Ethan re-entered the room, hands trembling slightly. It worked. It actually worked. Wait, said one of the engineers. How do you know what to change? Ethan paused. He smiled softly. The nanny figured it out. The news spread like wildfire. A Reddit post titled, Nanny Solves What 15 Engineers Couldn't, went viral overnight. Ethan declined every interview, every late-night show invitation. But what he did next stunned everyone. 3 days after the breakthrough, Ethan called a company-wide meeting. Standing on the stage in the main auditorium, he looked out at over 200 employees. I want to talk to you today about genius, he said. About how it's often hiding in plain sight. He gestured to the side of the stage. Mila Brooks, our daughter's nanny, solved the core issue in 30 seconds. Not because she's an engineer, but because she's observant, curious, and she listened. A stunned murmur passed through the room as Mila hesitantly stepped up beside him. I've learned something important, Ethan continued. Titles don't define insight. Degrees don't define brilliance. Mila didn't just save our product. She reminded me what leadership really is. Listening, respecting and elevating every voice. He turned to Mila. And so, I'd like to offer you a full scholarship to any engineering program you want. We'll cover it. Full ride. And when you graduate, you'll have a place waiting for you at tuerKind if you want it. Mila's hand flew to her mouth, tears already welling in her eyes. The entire auditorium rose in applause. Months passed. Mila enrolled at Stanford. Ethan adjusted, hiring a new part-time nanny and rearranging his schedule to spend more evenings with Ivy. He also instituted a new company policy, the open chair. Every major brainstorming meeting now had one empty seat reserved for someone not on the core team. A receptionist, a janitor, an intern, a delivery driver, anyone. That chair belonged to fresh eyes, to unfiltered ideas, to the unexpected. Because the greatest insight sometimes comes from where you least expect it. On a warm afternoon a year later, Ethan sat outside tuerKind's newly built child care center, watching Ivy draw spaceships with chalk on the pavement. Mila dropped by during her semester break, now halfway through her engineering degree. She walked up with a confident stride and handed him a cup of iced coffee. "I brought you the good stuff," she said, smiling. He took a sip and smiled back. "I still owe you everything." "No, you don't," she replied gently. "You listened. That's all people ever want, Ethan. To be heard." They sat quietly for a moment, watching Ivy laugh as her rainbow-colored spaceship flew across the sidewalk. Ethan looked over at her. Funny how the simplest voices can change the direction of everything. Genius has no job title. Sometimes the most world-changing ideas come from the most unexpected people. All we need is the humility to listen and the heart to believe in them.